So there's a whole lot of turmoil in the world right now, from nuclear war threats to China getting hit by unexpected regulations from the US. Everything seems to be in a very chaotic state. So in today's video, what I want to do is go over some of the latest news about the US government and the critical hit that they just landed on the Chinese semiconductor industry, which might sound a little bit boring to some of you, but trust me, this is extremely important and you definitely want to know about this. Now, there's many reasons why this is important. First of all, because this will basically paralyze a lot of Chinese manufacturing, so it could potentially affect a lot of you guys' dropshipping stores, for those of you that are dropshipping. But I also just wanted to talk about this generally because I want to start covering some broader topics, some macro topics that I think we all should be aware of. Now, just before we begin, I do want to mention the $1,000 Robinhood trading challenge is back to $1,000. So we went up, down, we went up a lot, and then we're back down to 1,000. So this right here is the reality of trading that the stock market gurus are not going to tell you about. Now, obviously, I'm not the best trader, but I will say on this account, I decided, you know what, I'll take a little bit of a break on options and I'm just going to start investing in Shopify. So this is another reason why this is important, is because when the world is in a state of turmoil like we see right now, these are actually the best times to invest. Now, I've never been through an economic recession as an active investor, but now that I am an active investor and I'm going through an economic recession, I'm starting to really see all these things that Warren Buffett always talked about and all these legendary investors always mention. So let's go through this real quick. The man, the myth, the legend, Graham Stephan summarized this very well for us here. So we're going to go through it. The US government just landed a critical hit on the Chinese semiconductor industry. ASML, a key chip making tool provider, stopped servicing China. Top engineers were forced to resign and China will have to start from scratch. So here is how we paralyzed Chinese manufacturing overnight. And the headline here is that China faces its Sputnik moment as US exports curbs deal a blow to its chip ambitions. So Sputnik moment, if you don't know what that means, that's a reference to Soviet Union's 1957 launch of the first Earth orbiting artificial satellite Sputnik 1, which the US was not expecting at all. This caught them by surprise, and this really began a lot of the space exploration efforts, and it climaxed at the US literally sending a man to the moon. So I'm not sure exactly how this is going to turn out in modern times, but let's read a little bit about it. The recent developments are almost entirely caused by new regulations introduced by the Department of Commerce. So this is why this is very relevant to us, aiming at stopping China from obtaining key chips and semiconductor manufacturing equipment. There are two critical elements to the export controls. First, US companies will have to stop supplying Chinese manufacturers with the equipment required to produce advanced chips until they obtain a license from the US government. Further, foreign companies will also need a license to use American tools if they sell chips to China. The silver lining in this, though, is that this is going to force a lot of Chinese manufacturers to obtain licenses from the US, but it's not really going to ban them from getting these chips altogether. So it's not like the world is ending here, because semiconductor chips are extremely important for so many different types of products, especially now with AI and technology advancing faster and faster. It's becoming increasingly important to have these chips. Second, US citizens and permanent residents who are involved in the production of certain chips in China will also need a license to continue doing that, i.e. American engineers will have to choose between their citizenship or their jobs. God damn, so that's a little concerning. The impact was felt almost immediately. ASML, a key semiconductor toolmaker company, told its US employees to stop servicing China. ASML is the only company that makes extreme ultraviolet lithography machines, a key element in sophisticated chip manufacturing. Companies are now scrambling to pull US engineers from China to comply with the new regulations. Reports suggest that hundreds of engineers will have to resign soon. Man, that's kind of sad. Details are slowly emerging regarding the on-ground impact of these new regulations. A CEO described this as, "This is what annihilation looks like. China's semiconductor manufacturing industry was reduced to zero overnight." After the new regulations were introduced, stocks of several chip manufacturers tumbled. China's largest chip maker, SMIC's stock dropped more than 7% in the past week. This is bound to have a long-term impact on the semiconductor industry back home as well. So really interesting stuff to be aware of, especially if you're an investor or if you like to trade stocks. But again, this is just a case that could be applied to other sectors, especially if the Department of Commerce decides, for example, to not allow dropshipping within the US, which I feel like would never happen. So don't get scared about that. But again, this sets a precedent for the future in terms of what regulations could be enacted and how it could crush a business literally overnight. So very concerning stuff. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this. I've never experienced anything like this in my life, so I really don't know what the outcome is going to be. But if you want my humble opinion as a young entrepreneur, I feel like this is just a power move from the US. They're trying to just continue to strengthen their power in the world. So that's really nothing new. I feel like the US has always been doing that. But I do feel bad for the people in China. I mean, it may sound idealistic, but I wish we could just figure out better solutions in the world and we could work more collaboratively. Because honestly, I feel like the concept of nations, nationalism, and all these things are one day going to be outdated. And I really hope that one day we can all just collab and be just like a planet as opposed to like such a segmented species. I feel like it's kind of inefficient and dumb, but obviously that's going to take so long to happen. Either way, what do you guys think about this? Are you guys aware of everything that's going on in the world? Are you concerned at all? And how are you acting in the face of chaos right now? I'm very curious to know what you think. I told you what I think, so now it's your turn to tell me what you think. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit different, but we're trying to change it up every once in a while here. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see you in the next one.